peril to eating your way through big cities with big appetites, and that's knowing how to get it right. The best way traditionally is to go to the experts, and I can promise you I've got a great one. It's not every day that you get to explore a city's culinary treasures with a man who knows them best. MasterChef Gary Mehigan, toaster Melbourne, maestro of the table and the most generous of hosts, is taking me through his Melbourne. The last time we met, he was exploring the merits of Mumbai street food, and yes, I suspect today's offerings will be a far cry from that. So where do we start? As he does most days with a hot cuppa. This is one of his neighbourhood homes.
So we're in Melbourne suburbs, which is kind of very square and organised. Everyone has their house, their little quarter-acre block.
So nice.
It is lovely.
It is
very different to Mumbai,
entirely.
Let's be honest. Yes. But I live up there, Matt lives over there, so we're actually, and George lives probably 10 minutes away, so we're not far away from the kind of the MasterChef triangle.
You're going to regret, by the way, saying this on national television, because hordes of Indians visiting are going to be landing up here. Yeah.
What's happened in Melbourne is we've become completely coffee obsessed. So places like this, which are probably 6 k's from the city, 7 k's from the city, normally barren, nothing. But all of a sudden these little coffee places are opening up.
So we'll go and see what the fuss is all about. Inside there's everything a good barista should have. The hiss and spit of milk and caffeine, the sense of a beautiful brew wafting out. The great love for caffeine, it must be said, is well represented at 30ml espresso. For us though, there's clearly only one choice to make.
2 strong flat whites come.
Yes, the flat white is how you order a cappuccino in Melbourne. Here's mine, and it's looking very good.
Isn't that beautiful? We're looking at shiny, we're looking at that really kind of dark crema that's come to the surface. It smell good?
It smells beautiful. What makes, again, Melbourne so special, sort of within so much that's happening, that's busy and that's exciting across Australia?
It's interesting, isn't it? Because the last few years I've been lucky enough to live in Sydney because the filming was, for MasterChef was in Sydney. And I never thought that I would love living there, and I did.
Yeah.
And the boys, and the reason I mention Sydney is because they always try and, what's the difference between Sydney and Melbourne? It's probably like, what's the difference between Mumbai and Delhi, Delhi? And really for us, I think Sydney's a bit of LA, it's full of glitz and glamour and things are always on the move. And Melbourne is more New York. It's very urban, it's very cool, and there's something very special about the city. Yeah. And even though it's sort of an American city in style, when you get into the streets, it's very European. So there's that old colonial, that old early settler, that gold rush kind of era where there was money. And so they're narrow streets, and so in every little area has its pocket. The thrill is, for me as a foodie, is that through those waves of immigration that we've had, there's all these close into town. You can pretty much get anything that you could possibly think of. And excellent food. And really, really good.
I just want you to know I am profoundly envious. I am profoundly, deeply envious. And I think Gary said to make sure I stay that way. This is where you will truly discover the perks of being shown around by MasterChef Mehigan. True to form, he refuses to go for the obvious, so we're not going to a restaurant, or not yet, but instead to a place where he spends a lot of time. A place that's a celebration of the things Victoria does best. You'll see.
So this is Paran Market. It's one of the institution markets in Melbourne. I think, since the mid-1800s there's been markets here. And it's fantastic. Lots of fresh fruit and vegetables, great delis. It's one of a number of markets in Melbourne. Preston Market's famous, Victoria Market, everybody overseas knows. But these are, there's markets that punctuate the city, and locals use this. It's just a nice way, better than the supermarket.
I have
to catch up like that on Earth.
Agreed. So in we go. This is not a market. For food lovers, it's like your own personal party of produce. I mean, look at this. If you can't understand why I'm dazzled, let me point out that even Gary, a regular, can't seem to get enough.
Boom.
Ooh, gosh.
Yeah, it's all gosh, isn't it?
Yeah.
You can't stop, can you? Look.
Yes.
Velotti beans.
So delicious.
Amazing. So that's a globe artichoke, that's a Jerusalem artichoke. And it's also the most farty thing you can ever eat. This will give you serious wind, but they're amazing. See, this is a nice Christmas gift. I don't need socks, I need zucchini flowers. Look at that. So you were talking about don't eat too much bread.
Yeah.
And you go, yeah, can I have one of those, one of those, one of those? Oh, can I have one of those? Oh.
This is hands down the best kind of window shopping there is. And here it's not just about produce, it is equally about provenance.
We've got some beautiful growing areas all around Australia, you know, whether it's the Atherton tablelands up in Queensland where, you know, they're growing all the tropical fruit. So whether you've got food bowls, you know, like the Goulburn Valley or the Yarra Valley, you know, even the Western districts, I mean, the soil is beautiful. I mean, obviously there's large areas of Australia and people think about this, that's desert. But also there's areas that are, the soil is red, you know, it's, you look at the potatoes, it's stuck all over it, and that's beautiful growing, you know, conditions.
Want more proof as to how good it all is? Even the potatoes merit both admiration and deliberation. That's how varied, that's how fresh they are.
We were talking about what makes the produce special down here in Victoria, and I said, it's the dirt. It's the dirt. Yeah. And actually I know that that's a good spud already. Tight, the soil on it's fresh, so you know it's come out of the ground, it's a new season. And you can tell when a potato gets older, it gets squishier, it also gets really starchy. Blue moons. These actually, these make a good mashed potato.
Yeah, it comes up very creamy.
Ooh, and they must look
Do you know how much butter you can whip into that mashed potato? Because it's so tight.
Yes.
It's really, really good.
And it's not just produce in its fresh farm-grown form. Practically anything you want that's edible, this is where you will find it.
Everything you can possibly imagine and think of. And all the little niche olive oils, spices, you know, you name it, and you can get it. Have you got dalmatis, have you? Do you want to try a little half a dalmati?
I'd love to.
Yeah. Beautiful.
Whatever veggies are inside.
It's sometimes hard to keep up, but for this one, I'm glad I did.
Oh my God.
Can you smell those?
Oh my God.
Yes, folks, that's a truffle. One big, beautiful truffle.
You know what? You know where this would look good? You see, if I was a rock star,
My stomach.
I wouldn't wear a big medallion. I'd have like a white truffle hanging around my neck, you know? You know, you said if you were going to buy me a Christmas present?
Right, here it is.
I know what it is!
We'll all chip in.
Can you imagine?
Can I pay an installment?
It's just nice. What have you got on here?
I have all the biscottis, all the Italian traditional biscotti.
Give one to the cameraman.
Yes, sir.
Eat it. Right, and then nod the camera. Did you like that? You're going to buy anchovies like this, which are the best in the world.
Yeah. Oh, really?
Then it's going to. Oh, yeah. You never heard of these?
No.
See, in your hotel room, if you have a little tin of these with some bread and butter, oh, amazing.
Of course, it's also the perfect place to meet old friends, and unsurprisingly, a hero's welcome awaits him.
How are you? You all right? Well done. So, did you open this morning? Has George been back?
I've never seen George.
Right.
I don't even know George.
So she's just renovated.
That's a beautiful space.
Really nice. So tell us what you've got here.
Now that's a lima bean baked bean. That's the lima beans that have been baked in the oven.
Yeah.
That's a green bean casserole. They're stuffed capsicums with rice and fresh herbs. Yeah.
Kathy, it's so good.
Thank you.
There's the sensational seafood stand, so fresh you don't have to lead with your nose. And if I'm not much mistaken, there might be a new menu being planned.
You know, summertime for us, especially around Christmas in Australia, is all about seafood. Put my order into the fishmonger. I buy prawns, I buy calamari, I buy mussels, I buy oysters, everyone has a crate. And the good thing, you know, the good thing about buying seafood from the market and buying it from people that you know is that sometimes it's a bit confusing. You look at all that and you go, what am I going to buy? What's good?
Right.
You know, so you're looking at price, you're looking at quality, and these guys are going to be able to tell you this is running well, this is fresh, this is great, you know. And, you know, look at the tuna, look at the salmon. So I come to Gary's Meats.
Oh, nice,
it's
yeah.
organic.
Yeah.
It's really beautiful, and if you look out the back here,
Oh,
see
yeah.
they've got all of the animals hanging,
Oh,
all of the
look.
aged beef, you know. So really gorgeous.
And here too another old friend. It's Gary and Gary.
So this is Gary.
Hello, Gary.
He was on MasterChef actually. I don't know if you remember, but he did.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, yeah.
He broke the lamb down when we were in South Australia. So we were in the Barossa
Yeah.
Valley, and he came in. How long did it take you? About 3 minutes.
Oh, about 3 or 4 minutes.
3 or 4 minutes.
Serve me some and I'll probably finish it even faster. This has been a lovely, well, meet and greet, and one with which our time at the market comes to an end. But stay tuned, we have much more, including a surprise guest, coming up.